Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. I'm Ajay from Networkers Home Technical Team. So in this video, I'll walk you through the step-by-step guide on how to deploy your WSA in the ESXi and how to license it. Okay, so let's go and see this. So now what I'll do, I'll open my browser to access the ESXi. So let me open the browser. And here I'll access my ESXi server. I'll say login. Now what I'll do here is I'll click on virtual machines. Okay, and here I'll click on create a register VM. Then here I have to select deploy a virtual machine from OVA or OVF. Now for this thing you are going to require the OVA image of your OVA or OVF image of your WSA. So here you can see I already have the S100V image here. Okay, so this is the image that I will be deploying, right? And here this is the license that we created in the last video. Now let's go and deploy. So I'll select the second option to deploy virtual machine from OVA or OVF. I'll say next. Then I'll name it that this is our WSA version 9.2, and I'll say select files, and I'll access the folder from where my WSA is there. So I'll open the WSA folder, access the WSA, and I'll select the VMDK file, open. Then I'll say next. Again I'll say next. Now here the M1 interface, which is for management, I'll keep it in the management network so that I can manage it. Okay, and the remaining P1, P2 and T1, T2 interfaces, right now we don't need to worry about those interfaces, right? So I'll keep the disk provisioning as thin, and I'll say power it on automatically once deployed. I'll say next, and then I'll say finish. So here you can see the deployment has started. Okay, the deployment of WSA has started. So meanwhile the deployment is going on, we have to wait for it. Okay, so let's wait for the deployment, and then we will see step by step how we can license the WSA. Okay, and how you'll do the initial configuration. Okay, so now our WSA has been successfully deployed. So let's go and take an access of the WSA. I'll select the WSA, and from here I'll take a console of the WSA. So I'll say launch remote console. And this will be a CLI console, so I'll just go and resize it so that we can see it properly. So let's expand it. So here our WSA is starting up. It says async OS is starting the services. Okay, so here our WSA has started. Now we'll use the login credentials. So the default login credential is username is admin and password is ironport. Okay, so I'll use the username admin and password ironport, and I'll hit enter. Now it says welcome to the S100V web security appliance. So please wait while the appliance services are starting. So we'll wait for it. Again, it's asking for login. So again, I'll say username admin, password is ironport. So we have logged into the WSA. Now here we have to do what? We have to go and configure the interface of the WSA. Okay, so I'll use the command interface config, and I'll hit enter. Okay. Now, as of now, right now, if I want to do the management, so I can assign one of the IP from this subnet to my PC, that is my management PC, and then I can take an access and I can manage it. Or else what I can do is I can go and change the IP of this particular interface, right? So let's go and change the IP. So right now the action that I want to do is I want to edit. So I'll click on, I'll say edit and I'll say enter. Now enter the number of interface. So we have a management interface. So I'll select the interface number 1, hit enter. Now it says, would you like to configure an IPv4? So here in the square bracket, you can see it says Y, that means a yes. So whatever the value is there in the square bracket, that's a default value. Okay. So let's hit enter here. Now what is the IP address you want to assign here? So let's say the IP address that I want to assign here is 10.3.3. Let's say 92. This is the IP that I want to assign to my WSA, as the version is 9.2. So according to that, I'm assigning 92. Okay. So I'll hit enter and subnet mask is fine. Now, would you like to configure IPv6? So I don't want to configure and the default is also no. So I'll say enter. Then after I can simply say commit to commit the changes. Okay. All right. So it's asking that, okay, it's asking us for host name. So what is the host name that I want to give? So host name, I'll say wsa.cisco.com. This is my host name. Hit enter. Now, would you like to enable FTP? So yes, we have to enable FTP because we want to upload the license. So I'll say yes, I want to enable on the port number 21. So yes, on the port number 21. Then after, do you want to enable SSH? So yes, I want to enable SSH on the port number 22. Yes, because we want to load the license. HTTP for management, yes. On the port number 8080, so yes, you can apply it on the port number 8080, default port you can keep. So I'll say okay. Do you want to enable HTTPS? Yes. On the port number 8443, you can say yes. Then do you really wish to use the demo certificate? So I'll use the demo certificate only because I don't have a legit certificate right now. Okay, I haven't taken a certificate from the certification authority. So I'll say yes. Both HTTP and HTTPS are enabled for this interface. Should the HTTP request redirect to the secure service? So I'll say no. Okay, because sometimes it creates problems while accessing. Okay, so right now I'll say no. If you have a proper certificate, in that scenario, you will say yes. Okay. Then after you will hit enter. And now the basic setup has been done and we will commit the changes. So I'll say commit. Okay. So describe your changes. So I don't want to describe anything here. I'll say okay. And it's done. So now you can see that it is telling me, my WSA is telling me that if I want to access the WSA, I can use http://103392 and port number 8080, right? This is what I can use. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is I will open up my browser and then I will visit this address. Okay, so let's go to the browser and here I'll go and try to visit. And before that, let me test the connectivity with my WSA. So I'll open my command prompt and I'll try to ping with 10.3.3.92. So I have the communication. So that means I'll have the access also. Let's go here. I'll say http://10.3.3.92 and port number we will use is 8080. Hit enter. So here you can see I have the access to the WSA GUI. Now username I will use here admin and password I'll use here iron port. Now let me try to log in. I'll say not now. So if I try to log in, you see it's not allowing me to log in. So sometimes this kind of issues might happen. So if these kind of issues are there, in that case, what you can do, you can change your browser. So what I'll do is I'll use here Microsoft Edge browser. And in this browser, first thing I'll do is I'll go to the okay. So in this browser, what I'll do is I'll go to the settings. And in the settings, I'll go for default browser. And here, I'll check whether this option allows sites to reload in the Internet Explorer mode. It is allowed. And if you want to add a website, that has to be loaded in the Explorer mode. So I'll say that http://10.3.3.92 port number 8080. This is to be loaded in the Explorer mode. So I'll add it here. And now if I visit here, if I say http://10.3.3.92 and port number 8080, I'll hit enter. Okay, so this website now it will load in the Internet Explorer mode. Okay, so now I got this. Now again here I'll try to log in. I'll say username admin and password is iron port, and here you see I'll be able to log in. So this is my WSA GUI. Now here if I go to the system administration and if I go to the system setup wizard, so here right now I have not installed the license, right? So it will not give me an option also. Okay, so now I will walk you through that how you can install the license in the WSA, right? So what I'll do, first thing I'll do is I'll take the FTP access. So for taking FTP access, I'll use WinSCP. And I'll go for FTP and I'll take FTP access of 10.3.3.92. Username I have is admin, password I have is iron port. Then I'll click on login. Okay, so here I have this configuration folder where I have to upload the license. Now I'll go to the location where my license is there. So I'll go to my documents and it's there in the downloads, in the WSA folder. Then this is the license here, and I'll just drag and drop the file here. Okay, and also then I'll click here and I'll say rename and I'll copy the entire name of the file. So once I copy the name, now I will take the CLI access, okay, of my WSA. I'll take the CLI access. So let me go to my terminal, which is Mobax term I will be using. Then I'll go to sessions, new session. Then I'll click here on SSH. And here I'll give the IP address, which is 10.3.3.92. Okay, and I'll specify username as admin. And I'll accept this. Here password I have to give, so I'll say password is iron port. I don't want to save the password. And you can see I have the access to the CLI of my WSA. Okay. Now here what I have to do is I have to use a command load license. Okay, you can see the GUI is also telling you the same thing, that we have to use the command load license. I'll hit enter. Now from where you want to load, you want to paste in the CLI or you want to load from a file. So I have already uploaded the file here. So I have already uploaded the license here. Now what? I'll paste the name. Okay, so I have pasted the name. Now I'll say enter. So it says license not valid yet. That might be because the time here, if you check in the WSA, what is the time right now? It is like 4:44 and then 08. Okay, this is the time. Date is correct. Okay, and in my license, if I check what is the time, so let's verify the time. So it is eligible from 12:29, right? So let's go and change the time in the WSA. So I'll say set time. Now I have to set the time. So I'll say that today date is, month is 10, date is 10/2024, then time right now. So it is applicable from 12, so I have given 13. Okay, the time should be correct. So 13, and then we'll say something like a 30:35. Done. So try to commit the change. No data to commit. Now let's use the load license command again. Okay, number 2. Then we will paste the name of the license. So I'll copy it again from the WinSCP. I'll click here, rename, copy it, then paste it here and hit enter. So this time you can see license is valid. So we have to press the space key to read this license agreement. Just keep on pressing, and then we have to say yes to accept this agreement, and this WSA has been licensed. Once the WSA has been licensed, you can refresh the page, and this will show you the basic configuration. Okay, that what is the host name you want to keep. So let's say host name I want to keep is wsa.cisco.com. okay, internet root DNS if you want to use, you can use, or else if you have your organization DNS, those DNS you can use here, NTP server, and how do you want to deploy. Okay, so as of now I'll keep everything as default, and just here I'll say my time zone Asia, India, Kolkata, then I'll say next. Okay, is there already a proxy server? No, not there, so I'll not check it. I'll say next. This is about the interface. So the M1 interface is used to manage the appliance, and optionally it can also be used to handle the web traffic. Okay, and then we have P1 interface like P1, P2. So this interface may also be used to handle the web traffic. So what I'll do, I'll use the M1 interface itself for handling web traffic, as well as also for handling the data traffic or the management traffic. Okay, so I'll not check this box. I'll keep everything as default. I'll say next. Then just here also keep it as it is, say next. Default gateway. So for your WSA, whatever is the default gateway, internet gateway, so that gateway you will give, let's say 10331. Okay, and route if you want to give, so you can say, like, for example, I can give a default route here. Okay, and default route is for 0.0.0.0, okay, /24 or /0 for anyone, and gateway is what, 10.3. See, we have already given the gateway, so this is not really required, but still if you want, you can add this out. Okay, and I can say next. So it says the net mask must be greater, so we don't really need this. Let's delete these two things and keep it as default and say next. Now here, if you are using explicit proxy, okay, or transparent redirection, those things will be used from here. Okay, so as of now we will keep it as layer 4 switch or no device. So there will be no transparent redirection. It will work like a explicit proxy. Later on when we work on the WSA, we can change it also. So as of now, let's keep it default and let's say next. Then you have to generate a password. So we have to change the default password. So here I'll say sys@0123, and again I'll set the password. Okay, to whom the email alert should be sent. So let's say they should be sent to ajay@nickworkershome.com. This is my email, and then here you can give the mail server. Okay, so right now I'm not giving, I'm just keeping it as it is, and I'll say next. Okay, then it is telling that, okay, monitor all the traffic or block all the traffic, what you want to do. Then monitoring or blocking we want to do. Acceptable use control, reputation filtering, malware and spyware scanning will be done. So as of now, you see it is giving you by default two options, webroot and Sophos. Later on, you can also see McAfee there. Okay. Then here Cisco data security filtering should be enabled. So everything is good. Let's go next. Now this is all the things that we have configured. So here you can find that now other than webroot and Sophos, we do have McAfee as well. Okay. So this all configuration is okay. I'll say install this configuration. Okay, so now why do we see this page? Because it's trying to access using the domain name. So instead of domain, again, I'll give here IP address only, which is 10.3.3.92. Okay, now I'll log in it with admin sys and 023. Say login. Okay, so once we log in it, now we will be able to see here, according to system setup wizard, that we have done all the configuration, and it says that okay, the system setup wizard will delete all the configuration and network policy setting, reset the administrator password, and can interrupt the client from the web. So basically all the configurations have been already done. If you want to reset this configuration, then you will click on reset configuration. Okay, and then you can do the new configuration as per your requirement. But now you'll see we have access to all the features, like we can see the interfaces also. Okay, we can go to the web security manager and you can look for different web policies. Okay, so any routing policies there, any access policies there, so those policies you can check out. Okay, now we can go for security and we can look for web proxy also. Okay, so all these options are now enabled, and if you want to monitor, we can also monitor this. So this was how to deploy the WSA in the ESXi and how to do the basic configuration. So if you find this information helpful, do like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.